Okay, just wanted to point out a few more things from some other creators' videos again, and forewarned, if you don't like that I do this, scroll out right now. Okay? Everybody knows my site and what I do on my page involving this Idaho case. So if you don't like it, you can leave right now. But let's get started.
This little box, this is what I'm referring to, and because it gives you the due date, the address of where she lives in Coeur d'Alene, the county ID and the state ID. And I could be wrong, but it's my contention that putting the FBI number in this position on this particular info block, that means that your butt is owned by the FBI by doing that.
No, that is not what that means. And I will also show you again that on that other record from 2023 that her FBI number was included in the documents. This is from that same 2023 arrest, and it has the FBI number on it. And what you're trying to claim is that they would actually use something on a publicly available website, an indicator that the person is a confidential informant. So you're actually trying to claim that they would put the FBI number there when they're an informant and not put it there when they're no longer one. That would be a huge violation of the confidentiality laws for confidential informants. They do not identify these people publicly, so there would be no identifiers on any public websites. Let's take a look. Now, this is the guidelines from the Attorney General of the United States about confidential informants. And it says, obligation, DOJ personnel have an obligation to maintain as confidential the identity of any confidential human source. Consistent with that obligation, DOJ personnel shall not disclose the identity of a confidential human source or information that a source has provided that would have a tendency to identify the source unless disclosure is appropriate under one of the exceptions referenced below in paragraph 1D4. It also says they have a continuing obligation even after they've left employment with the DOJ. Now, State of Washington Department of Corrections also points out that all employees, contract staff will ensure the identity of confidential sources. It's protected by RCW 42.56.240. So here's that RCW. Specific intelligence information and specific investigative records compiled by investigative law enforcement and penology agencies and state agencies vested with the responsibility to discipline members of any profession, the non-disclosure of which is essential to effective law enforcement or for the protection of any person's right to privacy. So that means that information is to be kept confidential. And here's Idaho's exemptions to public disclosure. Disclosing the identity of a confidential source, and in the case of a record compiled by a criminal law enforcement agency in the course of a criminal investigation, confidential information furnished only by the confidential source. So that is exempt from disclosure. And this information comes from a lawyer that deals with cases that have had confidential informants, and she has on her Q&A, are confidential informants public record? No. The identity of informants are not public record. If CIs were public record, it would put their lives in danger and the lives of their loved ones. However, the identity of a confidential informant will be revealed to the defendant if the defendant goes to trial. There may be other reasons why the identity of the CI will be revealed. In general, the government goes to great lengths not to reveal the identity of snitches. It should be noted as well that it is very risky and dangerous to put out on social media or in the rumor mill that someone is working as a CI. The government could decide to charge someone who does that with obstruction of justice, among other things. So I thought that last part was rather interesting. So if somebody really believes that a person is a confidential informant, or like knows that they are, and they put that out on social media, they could be facing charges. So just some food for thought there. But also, I think that shows you they would not have anything publicly available that would pinpoint who a confidential informant is. In fact, their plea deals would not even show up on the public site. So like how you're getting to see Tyson and Kara's plea deals, if they were CIs, those would not be available for the public to see. That the privacy is huge with confidential informants, so they just aren't. And I know enough people have told you that neither Tyson or Kara are public informants. I guess you're just going to have to figure it out the hard way. Now let's go on to the next soundbite.
The fact that BK and his dad, when they're pulled over, his dad's first thing they ask is about the Kopaka incident. As if BK had been discussing it with him and it sounded like something that was very important to him.
Okay, that's one of the items you were using to try to claim that Kopaka and Kohberger knew each other. And you had also stated in your video that Kohberger would have been like running scared at that point because he would have known that they took out Kopaka. But here's the thing. At that time, nobody knew who had been shot and killed. Police hadn't released that yet. And the reason why him and his dad would have been talking about it was because WSU alerts went out and he would have received those text messages. Here's the text that went out during the standoff. So this is the information that he would have received on those texts. So there was an active SWAT team operation on the south side. Then that Pullman PD had resolved the situation adjacent to the campus. And then finally, the 4:45 a.m., which would have been 7:45 their time as they were traveling, or, well, no, Indiana would have been 2 hours ahead, so around 6:45 they would have got it. Pullman Police Department has resolved the situation that occurred earlier this morning and have declared an all clear. The incident took place on Latah Street. Now, if he knew Brent and knew he lived on Latah, maybe that would have had him wondering. However, there is nothing yet that has still been uncovered that those two knew each other. Like, nobody has ever come forward that's found any connection for sure between them. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, the people that I have talked to that knew Kopaka said they were not aware of him ever knowing Kohberger. Now, could it come out that they did? Sure. And then I will eat my words and I will apologize. But I just don't believe there's a connection, but also I don't believe those text alerts gave him enough information of what was going on that morning to even know who was shot. And I'm going to play the stop because you can even hear his dad say that he thought it was a mass shooting. And I believe that's the whole reason why they brought it up to the state patrolman, because if the dad thought it was a mass shooting, he probably thought it was nationwide news, not realizing that it was just like only like one person in an apartment.
For tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
We're going to actually have some side move. Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're standing earlier.
What's WSU?
Go to the university, basically. The realistic incident that was occurring up there is the shooting incident. That is SWAT team area.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University?
Yeah.
And you're going where?
Oh, we're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Pocono Mountains. Yeah. So we're slightly punchy because we're driving for hours.
Hours, days.
Hours to drive. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
almost a day.
Okay. So what'd you say about some SWAT team thing? Or
Yeah,
there was
the mass shooting and everything.
We don't want where?
This was Washington State University. Essentially, what ends up now is so
Interesting.
well, it's horrifying because you go to the university, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So y'all work at the university there?
I actually do work there.
Oh.
It was PhD criminal.
Okay.
Forensic.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
No, this happened this morning. About an hour and a half ago, they're still wrapping it up. We're investigating it. I'm not sure there's two shootings because they did shoot somebody.
Let's see.
And then you don't know about that actually. You were there.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So do me a favor, don't follow too close, okay?
Oh, sorry.
All right.
So if you listen to that, there is no indication that he knew who the person was involved. His dad even said it sounds like there may have been two people. And again, he said a mass shooting. So they were going off of what was coming out on those text messages. I guarantee you that. And there was nothing indicating that they knew Kopaka's name or anything during that stop. So that, make of it what you will, but what I see in that traffic stop is they just had the basics from those text messages from WSU. Now let's move on.
So if we assume he wakes up Friday, November 12th at 8 a.m., we know based on his movements and the phone pings and everything else that he's going nonstop Friday, Saturday, and let's assume he gets home and goes to bed by 10 o'clock on Sunday night. That's 58 hours that he's awake and active.
Okay, so Jay was using this as an example to say that Kohberger was on drugs. I personally don't think he was back on drugs. I don't. But also what I wanted to point out was that Friday was actually November 11th, not November 12th. Friday the 11th was Veterans Day. It was a school holiday. WSU had no classes that day. No office hours either for anybody to go visit any faculty in their office. Now, could he have been up on campus grading papers? Sure, but I don't know as if he would have been up at 8 a.m. that morning since there was no class. Now, it's possible he was sticking to a schedule, but it seems to me that he could have used that day to catch up on some sleep, considering that whether he did commit the murders or not, it appears apparent from what has been divulged that he was up all night on the night of the 12th into the 13th, and then really didn't get any sleep because then he went down to Lewiston later on the 13th. So, but I kind of feel like since Friday was a holiday and there was no school, that he would have diverted from his regular schedule, that he probably would have slept in. Of course, it's all assumption, but I just wanted to point out in there that Friday was not a regular school day. It was a holiday. So there were no classes that day and there were no office hours that day. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is the people that follow Bubbly Waters have probably heard this guy's name over and over. She just brought it up in a video again yesterday, Justin Heath Olson. And she keeps claiming that he's the guy that picked up Jordan Baker at the Coffee House Apartments during the Kopaka situation. There's no proof of that. I personally don't think he looks like the guy that showed up to pick up Jordan, and Jordan's also saying that it's his pastor, and to me it does look like one of the pastors up there at a specific Pullman church that Jordan has been involved with. But the other thing that Bubbly keeps saying is that this Jordan Heath Olson was a Latah County Sheriff's deputy, that he used to be a Latah County Sheriff's deputy, and that is not true. There is a Justin Olson that is a Latah County Sheriff's deputy, still current, and it's not the same person. So I just wanted to point this out. Okay, this is the Justin Olson that has been in and out of jail, and currently he is in the Idaho State Correctional Facility in Kuna. He is not, nor has he ever been, a Latah County Sheriff. Now, the person in the middle with the certificate in this picture is a Latah County Sheriff's deputy named Justin Olson. This was just from June 11th of this year when he graduated from the Leadership Academy. Not the same Justin Olson. So, if you hear Bubbly trying to claim that that other Justin Olson, that Justin Heath Olson, was a Latah County Sheriff, please let her know it is not the same person. But that guy that's in jail is not a sheriff's deputy and has never been one. Okay, so I hope that helped clear a few more things up. And as usual, if there's anything you want me to cover, let me know and put any questions you have down in the comments. Have a good day.